Let me ask you something. What's worse than the word catastrophic? Because I'm actually struggling to find a word that's suitable to describe the ratings for the latest episode of Doctor Who. I need a stronger word than catastrophic. Now, as you know, last week I talked about the first episode of the current season, which was the Robot Revolution. We don't have the consolidated ratings yet, but we have the overnights, and the overnight was 2 million people, which was an all-time low in the entire franchise 60-year history, and that's off the back of the previous season, which has the 3 lowest ratings in the franchise history. To really demonstrate how far this show has fallen, for the second week in a row, we have another all-time low in ratings. Consecutive weeks now. That's how bad it is. Week to week. And it's not just a relatively small drop-off of, say, 100,000 people or something. It's way worse than that. This article is from the radiotimes.com. Doctor Who confirms overnight ratings for Lux, that's the name of the episode, lowest in series history. The figure fell below 2 million for the first time ever, despite a warm reception from fans. It says the second episode of Doctor Who's 15th season suffered a fairly substantial drop in ratings, with just, brace yourself for this, 1.58 million viewers tuning in to watch Lux on BBC One last night, Saturday 19th of April. Now, I honestly, I did expect the ratings to get this low eventually, but not this quickly. I thought it might take, episodes 5 or 6 or 7 before we get there. This is episode 2 of the current season, and it's very possible that the ratings might dip lower than this. 1.58 million viewers. That's pretty rough. It says that's down from the 2 million who watched last week's premiere, The Robot Revolution, and marks the lowest overnight viewership ratings in the show's history, the first time ever that the figures have dipped below 2 million. Of course, it's worth noting that these figures don't tell the whole story. Yes, that is true. We still have to get the BBC iPlayer figures and all that sort of stuff, but that's the same for any show. At the end of the day, the overnights are still very important, and they show you just how much of a drop-off you get. You don't want your overnights to drop off. You just don't want that to happen, because then the pressure is on for everything to be made up in the consolidated ratings later. Regardless, even there are episodes last season with the full consolidated figures, and they're still the lowest rated episodes of the franchise history. So we will have the consolidated ratings for these first 2 episodes in the next few weeks. In fact, I think it might be this week we'll get the consolidated ratings for the Robot Revolution, but I still expect them to be abysmal. They'll go over 3 for sure, but they're still going to be really, really bad. It says in total, the episode was only the 4th most watched programme on BBC One on Saturday, behind News at 10, Casualty and Blankety Blank. Meanwhile, Britain's Got Talent, its direct competition on ITV1, also received more viewers. So let's just put that in context, shall we? Now, for my American viewers who don't know, Blankety Blank is a game show. Okay, that's a game show. Game shows are very cheap to make. Casualty is a medical drama. It wouldn't be anywhere near the budget of Doctor Who. And the News at 10, the news programming is relatively unaffordable to make by comparison to Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a massive budget show. Each episode costs millions to make. The news, a medical drama, and Blankety Blank. I mean, those are cost-saving shows as far as I'm concerned. And they all got higher ratings than Doctor Who. Doctor Who, with its massive global fan base, it's a major British institution. And it costs a fortune. It's got all this marketing and promotion and everything. And it has lower ratings than the news, Casualty, and Blankety Blank. And then Doctor Who's competition, its direct competition, on the other major British broadcaster, ITV, is Britain's Got Talent, which is a reality TV show. Which again, its budget would be a fraction of Doctor Who's. But let's put that aside for a moment. That's over on ITV. The News at 10, Casualty and Blankety Blank are on BBC One. So Doctor Who isn't even getting higher ratings than other shows on BBC. And Doctor Who is a major flagship show for the BBC. It's probably its most important show. And not to sound like a broken record here, but, you know, I told you so and everything, but we did warn people that if Doctor Who continued on the trajectory that I think began really in the latter half of the Capaldi era and continued very much into the Jodie Whittaker era and now with this Ncuti Gatwa series, we warned people that if it continued to push the message, if it continued to be stunning and brave and get progressively more woke, that there was going to be a decline in ratings, that it was going to alienate longtime fans. You know, it was going to turn people off. And that viewership was going to drastically decline. And despite, you know, some cope out there, despite still there's a hardcore group of Doctor Who fans who just lap all this stuff up and then call us names, you know, the usuals. At the end of the day, we have been vindicated again. We warn people, like, if Doctor Who continued to go down this path, it was going to suffer a catastrophic ratings collapse. Well, yeah, I mean, this is, look at, I think if the BBC knew how low the ratings were going to be for this season, I wonder if they would have even commissioned a second season. You know, but as somebody pointed out, and I was in error in my previous video actually, because I said that there's been no attempt to course correct between the previous season and this season. Well, as someone pointed out to me, they couldn't have, because the series were made back to back. So yeah, they were kind of committed to this season the way it was, and the scripts were likely written, you know, a couple of years ago now. So yeah, there wouldn't have been very much that they could have done. I mean, I think they probably could have edited out a few lines of dialogue that were cringe, but other than that, yeah, they had to just go with what they'd made, because this season and last season were shot back to back. So yeah, that's the terrible situation that Doctor Who finds itself in. But you know what? There's 6 episodes to go, and I have a feeling that there's going to be there's likely going to be a few more new lows along the way. So we shall see. But I will say this: if you are one of those 1.58 million viewers who tuned in to watch Doctor Who over the weekend, good for you. You know, you're stronger than I am, I'll say that much. Anyway, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, share this video out there. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.